Yo, what's good people? Today we're going to be talking about how to transition from pad to leverless. So if you want to start dabbling with controllers like this, for example, this is an all button controller. So Hitbox or leverless, they mean the same thing. Hitbox is actually a brand. Leverless is the controller type. You can also call it an all button controller, but this is an all button controller or a leverless style product. And what it means essentially is that every input, so directions included, are buttons. For me personally, leverless has a lot of benefits in terms of consistency, in terms of latency, and in terms of SOCD as well. SOCD means simultaneous opposing cardinal directions. We're going to talk about training drills to strengthen your fingers, to improve your finger dexterity and stuff like that, because this is going to be important when you are transitioning to leverless style controllers. And really one of the main kind of hurdles you need to overcome is strengthening your fingers and improving finger speed and finger dexterity as well. So those are the main things I would say are really difficult off the bat, transitioning from controller to a leverless style product. We're going to discuss different drills in game. So we're going to touch upon Tekken and we're going to touch upon Street Fighter. So we're going to cover, 3D and 2D games. So different drills you can do to improve your dexterity. We're going to practice on both sides. Remember that the main thing is to practice on both sides as well. You don't want to strengthen like one part of your, let's say for example, I'm using my ring finger for left. I'm on P1. I don't want that finger to be stronger than all of the others because that's going to cause issues with, inputs and stuff like that. You want your fingers to be as strong as each other at the end of the day. That's ideal in an ideal world. But we're going to go through some drills in terms of finger individuality, finger dexterity, and finger strength. And then we're also going to shift to a game, so Tekken and Street Fighter, and we're going to look at drills you can actually do in game to help. We're also going to look at, if you're in the market to kind of dabble with, leverless style controllers, we're going to look at options that I think are suitable for newcomers to leverless style controllers, because let's face it, all button controllers can be very, very expensive. I've seen them go for £300 plus, which is probably anywhere from $350 to $400. So it is a massive investment, but there are options, very, very solid options out there if you don't want to spend, that big amount of money. You can pick up a leverless style controller on AliExpress, for example, for 20 quid. So, for my American viewers, that's probably what, $30, maybe even cheaper than that. So again, there are a lot of options for you if you just want to dabble. The one thing I will say is once you've dabbled and once you've kind of gotten used to the leverless feel, if you want to commit, you have to commit. Try and resist the urge to go back to your previous peripheral, whether that's, arcade stick or pad, because that's going to be a huge detriment to your progress in terms of improving on leverless style controller. You just have to commit, just commit. So for me, when I chose to commit to leverless style controllers, I literally did not play on pad at all. And I think that really, really helps. Do me a favor, like, comment, subscribe. Like it will help with the algorithm. Commenting will also help with the algorithm. And subscribing will let me know that you enjoy the content. Let's get into it. Okay, cool. So now we're going to look at what peripheral or what type of leverless style controller I think a beginner or someone looking to dabble should consider purchasing. Now we're on Hort42's website that I think they've rebranded to Cosmox. I'm not sure. They were previously called Hort42, so I'm just going to call them Hort42 for the time being. So this is their official website. You can't actually purchase stuff from their website directly, I don't think. Don't quote me on that, but I don't think you can purchase stuff from their website. Now, they do have a lot of devices, so it's like, which one do you even choose? Now, what I'm going to say is, if you're like me, sometimes leverless style controllers can be very, very compact, sometimes too compact. So when you're talking about something like the S series or G series, for me personally, they're not for me because they're too small. Same with the Snapbox Micro, they're very solid products, but they're just too small for me. So I like something like this where it has a little bit more wrist room. So for example, I'm going to show you, I'm not sure if you can see it super well, but this, I'm going to show you on the big screen in a little bit, but that leverless style controller has enough room for my arms to rest and my wrist to rest on, and it's very, very comfortable for lap play as well. So take that into consideration. I know it's kind of just an early investment, but you do want to be as comfortable as possible, especially when you transition to using, just your fingers on pad to potentially your whole wrist and stuff like that, where there's more wrist action, there's more arm action. So this is the product that I use for if I just want to lab something quickly, something quite small, something compact and something light. So this is not my main leverless style controller. I actually use the Overdrive Neo as my main leverless style controller, but that's kind of getting into the more premium product. So if you're just starting out, I'd recommend to look at Hort42's products on AliExpress. So this is the one that I have, which is very, very solid. When we're talking about PS5 compatibility, it doesn't come native, but they do sell a kind of dongle that you plug in Let's see if I can enlarge one of the pictures. So it has this kind of like USB. I'm not sure if you can see it, but it's underneath the kind of arrow to the right. Underneath that is a USB port. So if you plug the dongle in, you'll just be able to play on PS5. So this does have PS5 support. You just need to kind of purchase an extra dongle, which is only about 20 quid. So really you're going to pay £70 for, you know, a very, very solid product, light, compact, but it's also not too compact. So that's what I like about it. Now, if you're looking for something just completely beginner, something to just only dabble with, I wouldn't even recommend getting this. I would recommend just to get something really small, like, I don't know, let's just type in Halt 42, because I know they do have cheaper options. Yeah, something like this, for example, this is £30, right? So you're going to get the basic Leverless style layout. So this is the basic layout. So you have your left, down, right, jump, and then you have your 8 attack buttons. So you have your 4 directions and then your 8 attack. Now, I personally like Leverless products that have more than the, you know, 12 buttons presented here. I like extra buttons so I can macro stuff like, for example, parries and stuff like that, or rage arts or whatever, heat burst, for example. I can use those extra buttons. And in other games, you know, driving packs is really important. Parries are really important. So, you know, just think about that when you are transitioning. Just think about what you would like your layout to be. But to be honest, when you're just dabbling and getting a feel for Levelers, this layout is fine. I think it's only when you really start thinking, okay, I want to commit now, you can look at different layouts. And obviously, if you want to go to the premium route or you want to build your own, you can just create your own layout. There's no rules to Levelers. And that's what I really like about Levelers, is that there's no rules to kind of how you customize your controller for you. It's all kind of dependent on what you want, really. So yeah, as said before, Halt 42 do really, really good products. And obviously they range from about £20 up until, I don't know, £120 or something like that. So if you want a premium product, I would recommend all day, every day, Overdrive, Arcade. These are just the best. And also I worked on the Neo as well. So I gave input on the Neo. So this is like, I actually worked on this product. So that's why I'm recommending it, because, you know, it's a little bit of my own work as well. And I'm proud of, you know, this product. It's really good actually. So yeah, I think if you want a super, super high end premium product that's just going to last, it's built like a tank, this is great. And obviously it has all the extra buttons you would need. I personally like this layout because on Tekken, for example, I use this as a duplicate left, so I can backdash on P2 with the SLCD, and I use this for 1+3. So, you know, the choice is yours. Okay, let's talk about exercises that you can do to help your transition. Now, for me, this exercise really, really, really helped. Now, it was to the point where I was trying to do, let's say, for example, I was on Street Fighter 5, right? And I was trying to do low forward, DP super on P2, and I just couldn't do it. I was trying my best to, like, because it's the quarter circle forwards, but on P2, naturally that's going to be more difficult because your ring finger naturally is more weak unless you play instruments. So, you know, playing the keyboard, playing the guitar, they all use the ring finger as one of the main kind of fingers for, you know, playing keys. So for most people, the ring finger is really important and it's going to be weak. So this is the finger that you need to really strengthen. Now, this exercise here by Gallery of Guitar is really, really good. It's really, really simple as well. So all you need to do is just, I'm going to link these videos in the description as well, so you can check them out for yourself. So you're going to see here, so he's raising his fingers individually, but keeping all of the other fingers on the desk or on a flat surface. So this is really good for kind of promoting finger individuality and strengthening your fingers at the same time. This exercise is really, really good. Now, I will link this video in the description so you can go and check it out for yourself. This video really, really did help me. So yeah, I'm going to link it in the description so you can check it out. The second one is about finger strengthening, how this exercise works. This is kind of resistance training for your fingers, and it's really, really effective as well. So what she's doing here is she's putting pressure on her fingers, and that kind of acts as a resistance. So that's also strengthening your fingers. So these two videos are really, really, really good. Now, again, as said, I will link these videos in the description, so check them out at your leisure. But I think, yeah, doing exercises like these will really help, because the key to kind of feeling more comfortable on Leverless all button controllers is finger strength, finger dexterity, and also finger individuality. So if you can kind of master those things, you're going to have no issues, because some inputs can be really weird, you know, like double quarter circle forward, you know, double half circle forward, double half circle back. That can feel a little bit alien at first, but with practice and with kind of making a conscious effort to improve those certain aspects, you will find Leverless more easier to use over time. So now on Tekken, you really have to think about what character you play. If you know you have quarter circle inputs, half circle inputs and stuff like that. So really think about your control type and your character or characters. For this video, we're going to pick Paul because he has a sway back, so we have to move properly with a character like Paul. Say with Nina, for example. So let's just pick Nina. All right, first thing you're going to notice that is weird is movement. So left, right, down, up. Now this is where the actual controller comes into play because I use SLCD to help me move on P2. So for example, let's swap. So for example, like this. So this is how I move on P2, backdash. So you really have to look at different controllers in terms of like the actual controller, not control type, but look at the controller, and the extra buttons allow me to map these to anything I want and make stuff easier for me. So if you're looking to get into Leverless and you want to commit, think about what characters you use and whether additional buttons will aid you in that transition. So for me, yes, having extra buttons aids me in that transition, especially on P2, because I just showed you this is how I backdash on P2. Super clean. Now we're not going to go over movement in detail because I have a guide that shows you how to Korean backdash with multiple methods on Leverless. So if you haven't seen that and you want to know how to backdash, do check that out. But we're going to start from the basics. I recommend in the beginning to just literally go into practice mode and just practice moving forward and backwards, getting used to using your fingers, your weaker fingers, because your ring finger specifically will be very, very weak if you don't use it in day-to-day life. You know, if you don't play instruments, the majority of people do not use these fingers, your pinky and your ring finger, mostly in their day-to-day life. You might use it for typing here and there, but really you don't use these ring fingers or your pinkies. So these are the fingers that we want to strengthen, mainly ring finger. I don't use my pinky when using hitbox or Leverless style layouts. I don't use my pinky finger. I use my ring finger, middle, index, and thumbs. So these are the fingers we want to strengthen. So as discussed before, I will leave some videos in the description and in the pinned comments that have exercises for finger dexterity, finger individuality, and also finger strength. So they all kind of work together and it will make your transition way easier. Don't worry about backdash just yet. Just get a feel for, you know, sidestepping, either direction, you know, dashing forward and back. And then once you're comfortable with that, you can start going for, okay, I want to learn SLCD. I want to learn how to backdash. Now, as said before, I do have a backdash guide. You don't have to use SLCD, but for me personally, it's just the most consistent, the most optimal, and I can perform them on both sides using extra buttons for P2, for example. You just need to consider what character you use, what movement is required, and you know, your layout. So for me, this is not your standard layout. Your standard layout would be left, down, right, up, and then your 8 attack buttons. So these 4 are extra. Now, actually, I don't use these 2 at all. I only use these 2 for my extra buttons. So for this one, I use as a duplicate left, and for this, I use as 1+3 or 2+4. So this is the parry button, for example, like this. So now we've gotten that out of the way, what can you do to practice certain inputs like QCF, QCB? Now, to be honest, with QCB and QCF is mainly just about repetition. Now, when we're looking to train certain inputs like QCF, half circle forward, half circle back, that's why I brought up Street Fighter, because SF has a lot more motion inputs. Now we're gonna swap to SF and I'm gonna show you some drills you can do, but if you just want to stay on Tekken, some drills you can do is purely just movement. So Paul has a sway back, right, and you can cancel his sway back using up. So to practice your repetition with QCFs, you can practice sway back. Same with Nina. So let's put mimic on. So she's gonna mimic what I do now. Nina has a famous movement technique called Hayashida step, which is sway back cancelled with sidestep. So you can practice this input, practice it as much as you want, but this is going to help you with quick QCFs. And I feel like on P1 to do QCB, you have to really exaggerate the input, whereas like to do QCF on P1 is easy because it's just literally a piano. So that's why if I'm trying to do Hayashida step on P2, it's really easy because you can just do See what I mean? So that also works with pull and wave dash. So you can actually wave dash with pull with that same input. See what I mean? So turn mimic off. So this would be useful if you wanted to mix someone with like Demo Man or hop back 2. Another thing I would say is kind of just get used to doing hop kicks and stuff with up forward and up back, because that was something that I struggled with at first, kind of, you know, sidestep hop kick. I would just be pressing wrong buttons. So just get a feel for where each button is, and time in the lab is your friend when, you know, transitioning to a new peripheral, especially with hitbox, because it's so unnatural at first. It might feel like there'll be times where you want to give up, but just push through. And you know, your body is very intelligent and it learns things through repetition. So if you just keep practicing, keep going in the lab, even just spend 5-10 minutes each day just practicing movement alone, if you can get comfortable moving, all the other things will come. But if you try and rush stuff and then start going for execution, taunt, jet upper and stuff like that, and you haven't learned how to move properly, you're still going to be very uncomfortable on Leverless style controllers. So I would recommend to just literally go into practice mode and practice moving around, sidestepping into the background, sidestepping into the foreground, doing hop kicks, just doing B&B combos, and keep doing it. I still do it, and I've been playing on hitbox for just over a year, I would say, like a year and 3 months, for example. But I still go into the lab and I just practice movement for 10 minutes a day. Same with throw breaking. Throw breaking is another area where you will take a hit. So especially with those double button inputs, so 1+2 for throw breaking, for example, you are going to take a hit. Now you can try and train yourself to press a bind. So for example, I use this button for 1+2, right? So you could train yourself to use this bind, but I find it very unnatural. But everyone's different, so you might prefer to use a bind like this, or you might prefer to use a bind like this, for example. You might want to bind 1+2 here, or you might want to bind 1+2 here. So you can mix and match with, you know, different button binds and stuff like that. That's why Hawk 42 products are really good, because often they come with extra buttons and you can choose to use them or not. For example, I just turned this one off completely. So this doesn't actually do anything. This is just a dud button, really. I took away the mapping, and so this is nothing now, because I often found times I would hit it with my pinky by accident and it was causing me misinputs and stuff. This is not my main leverless, but I just use it for labbing and stuff. And for the purpose of this video, this is a very affordable leverless. So I chose to use it to show you that this is perfectly fine to use. Okay, now we're going to jump onto SFO, and I'm going to show you a few drills that you can do to really sharpen your QCFs and your half circles and stuff like that. Even your 360s, because 360 you can actually shortcut 360s, so you don't actually have to press the full circle, because doing a full circle with leverless is just pretty much impossible. It's doable, but the inputs are very weird. So you can actually just use cardinal directions. So as long as you satisfy left, down, right, up, you can actually get a 360. So this is what a 360 input would look like. So you would do half circle forward, up, punch. For example, for Zangief's like SPD, that input is a SPD. So not too difficult as long as you know shortcuts and stuff. And that's what I mean. Get comfortable using it first, and then the shortcuts and techniques and all that stuff will come later on, because there's a lot of benefits with leverless, such as defensive benefits, dash blocking, sidestep blocking, micro sidestep blocking like this. You can't even tell I sidestepped. See what I mean? You can't really do this on paddle sticks, so there's a lot of movement benefits, there's a lot of defensive benefits, latency benefits, and also layout benefits. You can customize your layout to whatever you want and whatever is comfortable for you. So that's why I would recommend leverless. So let's jump over to SF6. All right, now we're on SF6, and actually I'm gonna put the big screen on so that you can see what the inputs are and why these drills are actually working. So pick a character like Akuma who has a low forward, a DP, and a quarter circle forward twice super. So it could be QCF, QCF punch, QCF, QCF kick. And in this case, it's QCF, QCF kick, right? So that means we can do low forward, DP super. This is what you want a character. Kami also has the same thing. The reason why we want these combination of moves is so that we can do low forward, DP super. Like this. Now we want to repeat this multiple times and on both sides. So literally as soon as you get the input like this, restart. Restart. And you see how I didn't do a proper quarter circle forward? It was down, down, forward, down, down, forward. That's why it didn't give me the super, because I have to do 2 QCFs to get a super, and I only did 1 after the DP. Restart. Restart. So just keep doing this. Now we're going to do it on P2. Okay, so now we're on P2, and this is where you're going to find it a little bit more difficult because of your ring finger. And the ring finger is now the finger that's responsible for pressing down forward. So, I mean, we press down with our middle finger, right? But then to gain access to down forward, we have to use our ring finger. And similarly, the exiting forward is led by our ring finger. So that's why it's important for it to be strong. We're going to do the same thing. So this is DP on P2 and then super. That's super on P2, right? Like that. So look at the input. You see when I press heavy punch, you can see because it's a red punch, there's a forward before the heavy punch. So then when I initiate super, it's working because that QCF before the heavy punch is the first QCF. So that's 1 QCF buffered. And then I just press QCF 3 or QCF light kick in this case, and I'm getting super. Because you can actually buffer QCFs for quite some time like this. You see, I didn't do the input quickly. I just buffered the first one and it was stored. So as you can see, I'm more comfortable pressing those, you know, double QCFs and buffering them in moves. So again, you can learn to buffer stuff. Like for example, buffering DP, right? So I buffered DP there because I buffered the forward. So I pressed forward light kick to give me standing light kick, but I'm buffering the forward. So all I need to do now is QCF punch. And that's what I use in combos. So that's why I'm able to do certain things easier. Like that. But again, low forward DP super is going to help you improve your QCFs a lot more. And now the final drill that you can do is a light into level 3. So that's what a light into super looks like. So you have to press double QCF very quickly. Like that. So that's what a light into super looks like. As you can see, just a normal QCF light kick, but it's very quick. These drills will help you really sharpen up your half circles, your quarter circles and stuff, especially on P2, because as said before, it's the ring finger that's weak. So you need to really strengthen your ring fingers, and everything else I think will come naturally just playing and spending time in the lab. Spending time in the lab is, you can't get around that really. So once you spend time in the lab, go and then play in matches and make a conscious effort to put things into practice that you spent time on in the lab. So for example, if it's like sidestep hop kick, make an effort to just try and whiff punch with sidestep hop kick, for example, in Tekken, because that's going to allow your brain to develop the muscle memory from repetition. I also do want to show you the 360 just before we round off. So with SPD motions, you need to satisfy every direction. So that means you need to technically have pressed back, down, forward, and up. You can actually just get around this by pressing half circle forward or half circle back. It depends what's more comfortable for you, but you can press half circle forward and then up plus punch like this. So that's the input, because we've satisfied every cardinal direction. So within a half circle forward, there's back, down, forward, and the diagonals, obviously. So we've got half circle forward. So we actually satisfy 3 out of 4 cardinal directions. Now the last one we need to do is press up, right? So that's how to do that. Let's do it on P2. Now you can actually do it the same way on P2, like that. So it doesn't really matter. It doesn't, you know, it's not side dependent. You can find one way you're comfortable doing half circle forward. If it's this way, you can do that. If it's that way, you can do that. But I'm going to show you both ways. So this was this way, like this, pianoing from left to right, and now I'm going to piano from right to left. So Just find whatever's easiest for you and stick with that, because there is no side specific SPD input. You can just use the game shortcuts to your advantage. Using these tips, doing these drills over and over and over again really did sharpen up my inputs. And as you can see, they're not perfect, but they are way better than when I first started. For example, they were awful and it felt very unnatural. Again, to reiterate, if things are getting difficult, just take a break and come back to it and don't give up, and just keep doing different drills, look at different videos. And as I was saying before, I am going to link some stuff and some training material in the description and the pinned comment, because those will really help you as well, as they did help me. So again, hope it helped. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Take it easy. Peace.